I'm Tamara Thomas, editor-in-chief of UrbanHealthToday.com, part of the DocWire family of medical news sites, and I want to thank you for tuning in to Urban Health Weekly. Our goal each week is to keep you informed of the latest in health and medical news right from today's headlines. It's time to empower yourself with open conversations about your medical care with news that matters to you. So are you ready? Let's get started. This gets into the question of waist training now. Does it work and is it safe? Body positivity is part of a cultural zeitgeist that commands a woman take up space. Doing so allows her to stand in her worth, hold herself up, and anchor her reality. Yet garments like waist trainers, designed to make a woman's waist attractively smaller, are more popular than ever. The term garners over 1 million posts on Instagram. I had no idea. Wow. Such mixed messaging makes navigating the terrain of body modification tricky. Any type of garment meant to mold a woman's curves comes with the baggage of the socio-political variety. And they should, because the reasoning that the female body is disruptive has major implications for women, girls, and men alike. But are waist trainers physically safe? The idea behind waist training is that by wearing a steel bone corset, fat pockets along the waist, and floating ribs, which are the last two ribs, if you touch down at your waist, those ribs aren't connected to anything. They aren't connected to the breastbone, will be molded into a trimmer hourglass figure. This hourglass figure won't stick around though. A blog post published in the American Board of Cosmetic Surgery states that waist training won't make any drastic changes to your body shape, and any hourglass figure formed will be short-lived. Waist trainers may seem like a quick fix for shaping the midsection. However, most of the weight loss you experience is superficial. It's actually water loss from extra perspiration, says Casey Palazzo, a certified Legree instructor at the studio. She might think more sweat means the body is working harder, but compression from the waist trainer may have the opposite effect on your abdominal muscles. Waist trainers might also promote a crash diet approach to fitness, which is not superficial, but harmful to overall wellness. Which is not only superficial, but harmful to overall wellness. Some women report feeling full all the time when they wear waist trainers, says strength and fitness coach Nicole Harwood Nash of the Workout Digest. In a way, you're committing to a fake form of diet. This isn't a good alternative to eating a healthy diet. So basically, it weakens your abs, constricts your airflow by compressing your diaphragm. Yeah, I left that part out, but you can read that in the article on Urban Health Weekly. That's the membrane, by the way. Diaphragm is the membrane that allows your lungs to fill with air. So you can't eat and you can't breathe properly. That seems like a poor trade-off for a smaller waist, but like, who am I to judge? I used to wear a corset when I was younger and train my waist. And it was like the metal boning one too. And also, when I had my little one, I wore garments to compress my tummy. My grandmother called it binding your belly.
This is after the fact, right? After birth.
After you have a baby.
I did that too.
Very popular in a lot of cultures after you have a baby to get back in shape and avoid that saggy pooch. So I can't really judge. But many women go even further than that and permanently modify their bodies. So instead of shrinking the waist to enhance the butt and hips, they enhance the butt and hips, sometimes with fat and sometimes with silicone. Now the fat I have thoughts on, but it's your fat from your liposuction, so it's not the end of the world.
Not a foreign body.
Exactly. The silicone though, that worries me.
Yikes.
Here's the FDA's warning about silicone injectable fillers for body contouring. And the reason I'm talking about it is because a lot of women go this route because I think at the time, I'm not sure how big moving the fat around was, the Brazilian butt lift, they call it. I don't think it was as big at the time. Now it's much more perfected and you have doctors.
Isn't it now like the number one cosmetic?
It's the number one. In fact, I was listening to a podcast where the women were joking about all the women coming back from Costa Rica that they had that the pandemic spurred a lot of women going to Costa Rica to get this surgery.
Wow.
Downtime, since everything was closed, they figure I may as well go get my BBL.
Oh, because Costa Rica stayed open.
Costa Rica
Wow.
stayed open, exactly, and the flights were still, iffy, kind of, sort of at that.
And you're in recovery and nobody could
You're in
see you.
recovery. You don't have to go back to work. You just lay down because you have to lay down. You can't sit on it. You have to lay down at it.
So how do you fly back? I mean,
I think you sit on pillows or
You
something.
sit on a Tempur-Pedic.
Oh, you sit on one of those gel pillows or something like that.
Or one of those donuts, I bet.
Oh, you sit on a donut. Okay, that makes sense. Or maybe 2 donuts, one for each cheek. So
Donuts.
that you don't flatten the work. I know a girl who had her tush done and it got flat because she drove back from she did it here in the United States, but she didn't wait like the doctor told her, and she didn't stay in the hotel room. She drove back, and the drive back flattened her butt, so that like her butt is flat on the bottom, and then she's got this round butt on the top, and then it's flat from the bottom up.
That's unfair.
No, it's not unfair. She did it to herself. But it's funny to look at. But in any event, I mean, and I wouldn't dare laugh at her because it's a sensitive topic. But here's the FDA's warning about silicone injectable fillers for body contouring. Injectable silicone, we're not talking about like Juvederm and that kind of stuff. We're talking about silicone. Is not an injectable dermal filler. Injectable dermal fillers are medical devices regulated by the FDA. Now that's the Juvederm and Juvederm Ultra and all of that. That's, like for your laugh lines or your forehead. No, so not your forehead, your laugh lines. Anywhere that you need to bring volume in so that your face doesn't look aged. Those are approved. And because they're temporary and they're made from materials that the body just breaks down. That's why you have.
What's happening with all that silicone injectables? Is that like from Home Depot? Like what's
well, the FDA has approved certain injectable dermal fillers for use in the face, but no dermal fillers are FDA approved for large scale body contouring or body enhancement. The FDA cautions that you never get injectable silicone or an injectable filler as a breast filler, buttocks filler, or filler for spaces between your muscles, which is basically, the butt. Or some people have done it to kind of enhance their muscles too, with dire consequences. Injectable silicone is permanent.
You can do that?
Well, you can, but you'd be playing with your life.
You shouldn't. Yeah.
I know a story of a guy who had his penis injected with silicone to make his
my gosh.
penis turgid. That's, to make his penis hard. And he died.
Oh my
he developed an embolism. Yes. It can move throughout the body and cause serious health consequences, including death. In fact, when injected into areas with many blood vessels, such as the buttocks, silicone can travel through those vessels to other parts of the body and block blood vessels in the lungs, heart, or brain. It can cause a stroke or even death. Large-scale injectable silicone for body contouring and enhancement can also result in painful and hard gravel-like substances that stay permanently beneath the skin. Side effects can occur even years after injecting silicone in the body. Multiple costly medical and surgical interventions are sometimes needed to treat complications years after initial injection. Even then, patients may continue to have serious side effects that require ongoing treatment. Keisha Cole, the singer Keisha Cole, she chronicled the surgery. She had multiple surgeries to remove the silicone.
Is it really removable?
Oh, it's painstaking. So basically, you have to do several surgeries, and because you can't do it all in one sitting.
And you probably can't get all of it. There's
no
way
they basically go in and they basically have to search and move your muscles around and search for all the pieces. It's almost like shrapnel, and they have to basically go digging around and through your muscles and find it and remove it.
Oh my God, what does that do to your muscles?
I don't know what it does to your muscles, but
that whole procedure sounds like devastating.
It's multiple procedures because they don't do it in one sitting because the stuff moves around. It doesn't just stay. People think when this stuff goes in that it stays one place and it stays there. It breaks down and your body's trying to get rid of this stuff, and so it's moving all around. And so by the time
it creates a tremendous amount of autoimmune inflammation.
Right. And so by the time you get to the doctor to say, okay, remove this. This has disseminated throughout your buttock space. It doesn't stay within the muscles like it was intended to stay. It breaks down and it gets everywhere. And
So
it's like
all that
shards
was like a false promise that
it's like
really
it's
wasn't
shards
hot.
of glass, basically. You're basically searching
Wow.
for shards of glass in straw. Yeah. So she chronicled the multiple surgeries she's had to remove the silicone from her butt. Cardi B talked about having the
Oh,
silicone
yeah.
done. I mean, her butt looks amazing, but she's still very young. So, and you know, touch wood, she's had 2 healthy children. I hope that at some point she gets it removed before it becomes a problem. And she maybe not, because it, you know, it's still like aesthetically very good looking. But I came close to, well, close but not close to being talked into getting to. Let me tell you. So my cousin had
And
told me years ago. I don't know. Do you remember the story? This was in the news a few years ago. But there was this woman. She was infamous. I don't know if she was famous, but she was infamous. She was doing, you know, like all these procedures for like all these girls across the Eastern Seaboard. So anyway, my cousin, I was talking to her one of my insecure times, and she had work done by this woman, and she was really very happy with it. And she was like, well, you know, why don't you see her? It's all very above board and on the level. And since she's a nurse, I figured, okay, well, let me talk to her and see what the story is. So then I start talking to this woman, and I'm asking her all these questions. I'm like, well, where are your facilities, and what kind of silicone is it, and what you know, what's your procedure, like what kind of instruments are you using? Like, I wanted her to walk me through like what she does. So she starts getting really squirrely with me, and she's like, well,
ooh,
how do I know that you're not the police and I'm not talking to the police? And I was
what?
like, whoa, what are you talking about? I was referred by one of your customers. Her name is blah,
Wow.
blah, blah. So she's like, well, I don't know. I don't like to get into specifics over the phone. And because I don't know, you could be a cop trying to set me up or something. And I was just like, whoa, why would I? Okay. So then I decided, after I got off that weird conversation with her, I decided to go look her up because I wanted to see where she's credentialed and stuff. And then I came across the article, and I saw the picture, and I sent it to my cousin. I was like, is this who you sent me to? Is this who you're talking about? And she's like, oh yes, that's her. And I'm like, you did read this article, right? She had gotten arrested. She was doing
Wow.
silicone. She got arrested. Someone died. A lot of people got injured and all this other stuff. And she was still trying to do it while she was on the run, trying
So
to collect
she was
money.
already busted. She
was
knew it
already
had killed
busted.
somebody, and
She knew
she
that-
was not, she
and
still
she
was
had-
doing it.
and she was still doing it as much as she could. And I just felt like,
Wow.
wow,
Okay.
this woman is really dangerous. Like,
Really dangerous.
yeah. So anyway, I just thought that
You
was
can't be in denial at that point. Like, oh, I'm sure it's fine. She knew for a fact then.
yes, she knew she was in the wrong, and she was still willing to take
Mhm.
someone's money and potentially harm them. So I'm just saying, women, you know, be very careful about chasing these beauty ideals. I don't know that it's worth it to do this to yourself. You know, there's the momentary, you know, few years of like, oh, I look amazing. But then what? What happens when it starts traveling? Have you seen what women look like after years? I'm talking about years after this thing happens. What do you do with it? And then where do you get the resources? Because it's not terribly expensive to do. Where do you get the resources then? Because you, at some point, you have to see a doctor. The doctor has to remove this stuff.
And
but
a
the doctor's
major
not gonna do it for
procedure,
free.
multiple major procedures,
Multiple major procedures.
not covered by insurance, I bet.
And I'm just worried. So there's that issue. There's the issue of, okay, what happens next? There's the issue of, how does this affect your healthcare, right? Because now you've essentially changed and this goes for silicone or
And you've
you know,
changed your endocrine system too, I
changed
bet.
your endocrine system, and you've changed your waist to hip ratio artificially. So
So you always look like you're in better shape than you
always
really
gonna
are.
look pear-shaped, even though you were traditionally apple-shaped. So how do doctors now manage these patients for risk, right? Because everyone is kind of like looking pear-shaped. So what do doctors do? What measures
What's the natural form anymore?
Exactly. So these are some things I want women and trans women too to think about, and men, because men do these procedures as well. And I just want you guys to really think carefully about this. There's something to be said for putting in the time, going to the gym. I know we don't have
Yes.
that culture anymore, but putting in the time, doing those squats,
Some delayed gratification that will also help you.
and
be-
working with what you have. There's nothing wrong with working with what you have. Lou, you were telling me some time ago, you said something interesting about, back when you were younger, that, women either were or weren't beautiful. Do you remember you were talking about that?
Well,
Ooh.
I'm not going to say they aren't, because to me, every woman is beautiful. But,
Well, I know to you,
but-
every woman's beautiful. Every
but,
woman's
you
beautiful
know,
in their own way.
once you get to meet them, it doesn't matter anymore. Once you get to meet somebody.
Oh, yeah. But that's not what I'm talking about. You were saying that some women were objectively, no, empirically, you didn't use that word, I'm paraphrasing, but you were saying that there was no procedures or makeup tutorials and all that.
You either were or you weren't.
You were either a natural beauty or you weren't a natural beauty, and there
Right.
was no, where I blame a lot of this
Putting
on.
out the eye of the beholder right there, though.
Right, but what he was saying, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he was saying that, there was no, you didn't have all the beauty stuff that you have now to like trick the eye and to look from what you looked like. Like you just had to work with what you had. So you didn't have like, I could go to Costa Rica and get a body modification, or I could go and get a nose job, or I could, buy this hair, or if you lost your hair, you lost your hair. There was no transplant procedure. You just lost your hair and you had to deal with it, right? So back then, there weren't all these options to do something about. If you had crooked teeth, you just had crooked teeth. There was no Invisalign back then.
Right.
There were braces.
Did that make the rest of us like more approachable, or more like less out of line if everybody's a little bit more real looking? Then
I think people didn't think about it that much back then. I think people had more realistic expectations. Now you got the music.
The standard is so high and unnatural.
The Instagram model, you've got Hollywood, you've got OnlyFans, you've got all of these filters that make your world so much smaller.
Augmented reality.
Right. And so, you were probably attractive relative to like the people in your neighborhood, but now you're competing with people in California and
around the world now.
Right, exactly. And so now the ante has been upped, and then there's the advent of the video vixen with that whole, like in the Sir Mix-a-Lot video, those girls I don't believe had their behind. They was just naturally had big behinds. And now everywhere you turn, you got Buffy the Body, you got she's older now. I think she's a trainer and stuff like that. But at the time, that was the standard. Or Jessica Rabbit, aka Ford, and Vita Gura, and all those magazines that glorified this shape that most women can't achieve. I mean, well, now you can with surgery. But the point was that it just spawned this whole insecure. And also that show, do you remember that show on ABC, The Makeover Show?
Oh, yeah.
I think that was like the grandmother of it all. Like that whole boo-hoo, I'm unattractive. Well, don't worry, we'll give you this and that, and we'll make you beautiful. And it just became like ordering a meal.
Or even The Bachelor, you would be surrounded by 30 perfect looking women.
Well, that's the thing, right? Right. And you see that on TV and you think that you're the outlier. A lot of foreign people come to this country because they think that everyone is attractive because they see all these attractive.
Oh, I remember a girl telling me that. And
then they come here and they're like, oh, they're not all that. They're not attractive like in the movies. That's just an illusion. you know, and that's the thing. Like people see this stuff and they think that that's not the exception. They think that's the norm, and they feel like they have
You
to fit
think
in.
that this waist training idea was like the most easy, accessible, like it's the entry level?
I guess so. I mean, I think I see it as all part and parcel of that.
Yeah, that's like exaggerated form, this
Right.
like
You know, if you have decent, you know, hips and decent butt, and you just
Right.
train your waist down, then you know, then you've got nice curvature.
Oh, I bought one of those things like right near the beginning of the pandemic, like even a little bit earlier. I bought one of those waist training things and I tried it because I was like, I have to get my weight under control, and I hoped it would work. And
Uh-huh.
I couldn't tolerate wearing that thing.
That was my problem. It was just too damn painful.
I was like, oh
8
God.
hours. There's no way. I
Yeah,
can't.
I was like 10 minutes and then I was huffing and puffing. And I don't think, yeah, I ended up losing weight with altered diet and fasting and doing, you know,
Yes,
health and
exactly.
stuff. I did it, things that really, because I was hoping
Right.
that it would curb my appetite, which it did
Right.
not.
Right. And a lot of people don't know that they have to, you know, work their lateral obliques. But in any event, that's, you
Yeah,
know,
I'll tell you, I once bought one of those belts years ago, maybe about 20 years ago. And this thing, yeah, I was training for judo or something. And this belt, you know, you put it on in the commercial, you would come out with like amazing abs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing had like these little electrics thing, you know.
Oh, it's like
wow.
a trans unit.
Yeah. That thing hurt. Like I put it up, like get this thing off me.
And what does it do? It contracts your ab muscle?
Yeah, but by
That's
giving you electric
hilarious.
shots, get the hell out of here. I worked for, like,
Everybody
5
has to
minutes
buy
and
a gimmick at
things.
some point in their life. It just
Oh my
happens. We all do it.
God, that's
Yeah, Jackie,
hilarious.
I think you remember that. Go way back. This is like 25 years ago. And I bought the stupid thing and I put it on. And next thing I know is I'm getting all these shots. I get that.
And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, get this thing off me. I never will again.
What you do with it after that?
You
That's
know what?
hilarious.
Maybe it's still in the closet somewhere. I got to bring
That's
it up.
hilarious.
eBay or something. As a
Yeah.
collector.
They got our money.
Exactly. So I bring this up because I want people to love the bodies that they have. And I know that's not always easy in this.
I find that like the most moving and the most sort of courageous and really owning who you are.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, we it just feels like as a society we have moved away from that. They have something, is it in Korea, where they have this movement where women are eschewing that whole, what is it called? Escape the
Oh,
Yeah.
that overly high standard of beauty.
Yes, where you graduate and your graduation present is like
Oh, like a nose job or face.
nose job, eye surgery,
Or
and
your
Oh my
kid.
God.
and you have to have long, luxurious hair, fully coiffed and
Oh,
full
the beauty standards are so
Yeah.
exact
and
today.
so there's like a backlash. There's this whole movement called Escape the Corset. I think it's called Escape the
Mhm.
Corset. And so women are cutting their hair and they're not wearing, you know, beautiful dresses and all of this stuff. And they're not
They're
wearing makeup.
rejecting that.
And
What?
right, they're eschewing it. And there's repercussions. There's like social repercussions, like, you know, they're having a hard time getting jobs. And-
Wow. So
Oh, yes.
everybody bought into it before. So it's really brave. It's really
Right,
brave.
exactly. And I think there's like a whole exhibit in one of these Korean museums with like all these women who have like doffed that whole thing. And so it's like, you know, there's the before picture of them with them looking all glamorous and stuff. And then there's the after with their heads shaved and they're just stripped down. And it's like no artifice, no. Anyway, I think that's an interesting movement. And I think it's in a lot of ways, it's very body positive. And I just wish more people would kind of move towards that. But I don't know if we'll ever get there.
I thought they all, you know, I did see a lot of it. I did see the exhibit. And
Uh-huh.
I get
Some
it.
women cried when they saw their after picture. Mhm.
But here it is. I felt that all the afters were a lot more interesting than the befores, because the befores, I felt that I was looking at a
catalog.
You remember that movie? I think it was called The Secretary or whatever. That she had a pic. The way she got caught was she had this picture on her desk of her family, and it was like the insert, like this generic picture. You know
Oh, like what comes with the frame.
the picture that comes with the
Ah!
Uh-huh.
And she kept it in there and she put that on her desk as her family and all of that. And it was like a make-believe family. But anyway, these people all look like they belong in those pictures.
Like
at
a
first.
Stepford wife.
Yeah, it was very.
So they're very homogenous.
Very homogenous, but quite honestly, if you saw that person, you'd probably say, "Oh, how attractive and they are." But at the end of the day, you would never remember them because they can blend in to be one of anybody because they have that level of perfection.
Yeah, I think that's the point, though, right? The point is that they're moving away from look. So like beauty becomes a calling card almost. It's like an in. It's the rule. It's not the exception. And they're pushing back and saying that we're gonna make this the new rule.
Yeah, but the after pictures, it was sort of like I felt like, oh, this is what you really look like. Now you're an individual.
Right.
You're an actual person now.
Right.
I can relate to you. I know I'm not talking to somebody who just put on 7 hours with makeup or whatever and doesn't even look like that. And what am I talking to? Or you're just aspiring to be a certain.
But you like all that natural stuff. You've always said that.
Yeah, I just prefer people to be who they are.
For me, it was a little jarring because I don't mind like a little rouge and stuff like that.
No, I'm trying to get back to a more authentic look, but yes, I am I'm susceptible to enjoying a little rouge. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Just
a little glamour, right?
Yeah, but I think also when you're a mother, you don't get.
Yes, you have to change things a little bit.
So it's like the constant sneakers and jeans and all that stuff, and then every once in a while you want to, But for the people that do this every day, it must be exhausting.
Wow.
Exhausting, like the housewives and all that makeup and everything every day, and the Kardashians and that, sitting in the chair first thing in the morning. And
that's many hours and a lot of help and expense.
Yeah, but they're very rich and
yes,
and it's part of their brand, so they kind of have to do it. Like I don't think they are allowed like off days or eschew the corset, escape the corset type days and stuff like that.
They're always on.
Yeah.
You're getting a fee for everything you wear.
Right, exactly. So they're a brand. Like their whole look is a brand. So and then that's the thing, right? Like these women are like really, really rich, and that this is their brand, but people can't separate the fact that this is their brand from like this is how everyone should be every day. Like because they're
also the Kardashians are a tremendously augmented bunch. Like they're really
exactly. Their whole brand is like aspirational and stuff like that.
Super aspirational. Like, yes.
And people feel like that they should look like that they should be, made up to the hills, that their hair should be glossy, that their waist should be snatched after having 5 children. Right. This whole thing that's just like so unrealistic for like the average woman, that they go to such expense and end up doing dangerous things like getting the silicone fillers and the body contouring and stuff like that. It's like I would like there to be an embrace of not necessarily naturalness, but I would like there to be an embrace of like what you have, just like what you have, and work with what you have. And you can improve on what you have and tone what you have and make what you have better, but it's what you have, A lot of girls, train and stuff like that. Like, look, training is not terribly expensive. And there's lots of videos online that you can watch and do all kinds of like fitness blender and stuff like that. There's all manner of doing that. But, when you start getting into the body modification, I don't know. I mean, if you have the money for it, great. Just make sure you do it with a board certified surgeon. But please don't do silicone, and please don't do things to hurt yourself, because at the end of the day, you only have one life and one body. So here's my wrap up. You gotta do
wise words.
You gotta do this to make it count, so your years are full of life and full of health. Remember, people, information equals transformation. So small steps each day and you will see a difference. I'm sure of it. So that's all the time we have today. You guys are amazing as always, and I'll see you next time.
Bye. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to Urban Health Weekly today. I hope you'll join me and my friends next week so you can stay informed and inspired to take control of your health. See you next time.